without further ado, Consul Mateusz Gmura, who is going to introduce you to the Father Jerzy Popiełuszko in some details. Zostańcie Państwo z nami jeszcze trochę, będzie na pewno ciekawie. Dziękuję, Mateusz.
Dzień dobry Państwu, bardzo dziękuję, że jesteście tutaj dzisiaj z nami, że wyczekaliście te kilka chwil. Idea lekcji dzisiejszej w ogóle jest taka drobna, niewielka. Nie będę przetrzymywał wszystkich 45 bitych minut i też interaktywność tej naszej lekcji będzie troszeczkę zmniejszona, tak? Z racji tego, że nie mamy tutaj handoutów i tego typu kwestii, dlatego chciałbym, być może będę chciał zaangażować wszystkich Państwa de facto w te nasze kilka słów na temat błogosławionego ojca, przepraszam, księdza, przez to dlatego, że tak wielu ojców, na przykład Paulinów naszych, księdza Jerzego Popiełuszkę. Jest to postać nietuzinkowa, a ja z racji tego, że jako konsulat również staramy się oczywiście promować ideę dwujęzyczności w Stanach Zjednoczonych, przede wszystkim na terenie nowojorskiego okręgu konsularnego, no będę przenosił się również na język angielski. Jeśli tak sobie myśleliśmy, że jeśli komunikat w języku angielskim jest zrozumiały, a jest zrozumiały dla naszej Polonii, to tym bardziej będzie zrozumiały dla lokalnych Nowojorczyków i jeśli chodzi o ten komunikat, który chcemy przekazać, a wielu z moich przedmówców o tym wspominało, jeśli chcemy nauczyć wszystkich dookoła, kim był i dlaczego ważną postacią był ksiądz Popiełuszko, powinniśmy te informacje tutaj w Stanach Zjednoczonych komunikować w języku angielskim. Staramy się dotrzeć do nowych, tak? Tak jak może troszeczkę trawestując sformułowanie, o którym za chwilkę będę mówił właśnie, czyli tytuł naszego dzisiejszego spotkania pokonać zło dobrem, zwyciężać je dobrem, czyli overcome evil with good, czyli to Pawłowe zdanie świętego Pawła, które było nazywane mottem księdza Popiełuszki. No to jest jakby ta istota, o której tutaj mówimy. Także ja przełączę się na chwilkę na język angielski. Chciałbym zachęcić Państwa przede wszystkim, so I'd like to invite everyone to have these handouts, because we might probably have some competitions sometime soon, teeny tiny, so you have to pay close attention to the information I'll be giving to you, probably most of it in English. So if you take a look at those leaflets, they are still handy, so I would like you to have them with you, just as a souvenir on your way back home, but also if you'd like to pay a little bit of attention to what I'll be talking about right now. So without further ado, I would like to recap the information that our speakers had today, but I'd like to tell you some stuff that is a little bit new. So what we say, if we say to overcome evil with good, I probably have this teeny tiny little book that is the best source. And if I open the page, that's 1026, I found the letter to the Romans. And that's what it says on my page 1034. That's 12:21. If your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. This is what the Romans says, and this is the motto that Father Jerzy Popiełuszko had. By the way, to help you on the pronunciation note, to help you out a little bit, the last name of Father Popiełuszko is just the same as Kościuszko, or our great composer Moniuszko. So whenever you have a little bit of a difficulty pronouncing these last names, well, these are quite common suffixes to Polish last names. So Popiełuszko is almost exactly as Kościuszko. Some say that he was a martyr to make us realize. Some say that he was an extraordinary priest, and that is a shepherd. Some said he was a messenger of the truth, which is also true, in fact. Some said he was a guardian angel who led us through the dark days of communism to its fall in 1989. And this might also be the case. So the title of today's event is the motto that was with Father Popiełuszko all the time. He was a man of God. he was a man of the scriptures. That's why I took this very part from the Bible to exemplify how important that is for us to realize that it is an excerpt from the Holy Bible. Alfons Jerzy Popiełuszko was born in September 1947 in a small village of Okopy in the region of Białystok, that is in the northeastern part of Poland, close to the border to the then Soviet Union. You have to realize that 1947 was just right after the Second World War concluded. And in most of the countries who were participating in this great war, as we have this monument just behind you, yes, the flag post to the victims of the Great War, as it is sometimes called also. For the American allies, it was from 1941 to 1945. Lots of other combat was also concluded after that particular date, specifically in the Pacific. But the majority of the European countries who were on the Allies' side in the western part of Europe could enjoy freedom and peace, and also the fact that living in a free country after 1945. But that was not so in Poland. From 1945, the communist regime took its iron paw, and the iron curtain, as Winston Churchill used to say, fell upon some of these countries of the Eastern Europe, and Poland was that very country which was under the oppression of the communism until 1989, when we had these very first Polish democratic elections. Unfortunately, Father Popiełuszko had to pay the biggest price, and so did many Catholic priests after 1946, 47. There were dozens of those who had to pay the utmost price. Lots of them had to pay for being true to their home country, to the history, to the scriptures, that is, to God. And they were patriots, but they had to pay the highest price. Lots of them were murdered, just the same as Father Popiełuszko was murdered, brutally murdered by 4 secret communist service police back in 1984. So this, in some sort of ways, encapsulates the whole idea for you to understand how important he was and still is for the Polish community here, as this very monument was erected back in 1990, which was the very turn, as I have mentioned. Poland had the very first free Polish elections back in 1989. So this was a turn. The Polish community, as some of the speakers said, is no new ethnic group here, especially in Greenpoint. We've been here for 200 years. But Poles came to America 400 years ago. In fact, it was 1609 when the very first craftsman hired by Captain John Smith, who ran the colony in Jamestown, Virginia, he hired these craftsmen to put them on ship and brought them to America because they were so valuable to him, because they were craftsmen. What is also very interesting, only 2 years ago, we celebrated the 400th anniversary of the first strike for the voters' rights, which were back in 1619 by the Polish craftsmen. They were not given the right to vote in council elections, so they went on strike. Peacefully, they went on strike. However, the colony in Jamestown, in order not to lose the craftsmen, reinstated them as citizens and gave them the right to vote. So that's the way it was to stand up for the democratic rights. You know, the first strike for the democratic rights were the Poles in Jamestown. So we are the pioneers again. Coming back to Father Popiełuszko, probably, as I have mentioned, the fact that Father Jerzy was a man of scriptures, I would probably have to let the man speak for himself. Lots of his sermons that were so twisted by the communist parties, some of the communist propaganda back in the 1980s, with the culmination of his death in 1984, called him a dangerous man. Why was he so dangerous? Well, because he was telling the truth was not to be expected back then. Why was he dangerous? Well, because he was with the word, with these peaceful words, he was trying to speak for his nation, for the nation of the Polish people. But it was not meant to be so. That's why he passed away by being so brutally murdered in 1984. So if you want to talk about the man whose statue you can watch here and visit, pay a brief attention, maybe just a brief reflection, if not a prayer, just to stand here, think about the values which we have cherished as the Polish people and the American people. Like we've mentioned, Kościuszko, Pułaski, General Krzyżanowski, they all came here to America to fight for the same values as the Americans always valued. It's the freedom to live in a free country. So if we can, you can probably find lots of excerpts from Father Jerzy's sermons across the books, the periodicals, on the internet, also on YouTube, if you want to try. Probably, if only Father Jerzy Popiełuszko lived, he would run, I think, to me, he would definitely run a Twitter, have his Facebook account, because he was promoting the word of truth, the word of freedom, and he was always close to his people. Only a couple of days ago, I talked to one of his altar boys, who is now a grown-up man. He's one of our fathers in Doylestown. You might probably know Father Bartłomiej, who used to be the altar boy to Father Jerzy Popiełuszko. And I asked him about his reflections, and he said, Father Popiełuszko was always sunny on the outside, but he was carrying this inside sadness in him. Yes, he was probably destined as much as Maximilian Kolbe, who had this idea of these two crowns at him, holding him from the time when he was a child. Let us ask God to make us free from revenge and hatred, to give us freedom, which is the fruit of his love. Amen. This is a quote from from the homilies of Father Jerzy Popiełuszko back in the 1982, 83, and 84 that he directed to the Polish nationals back in St. Stanisław Kostka Church in Warsaw. There's no politics in it. There's no agitation, only care for the individual, men, women, everyone. So no matter of their sex, gender, race, age, or profession, like these words are always universal. Father Jerzy spoke through the scriptures, and there we can find him alive every time we take a look at either the scriptures or the lots of records that have been left after he so tragically died in 1984. I would like you to remember about that, and this is the part of education that was also mentioned by some of the speakers today. This is absolutely vital for us to cherish living in a free country, whether it is here in America or across the Atlantic in Europe or any other corner of the world. To live in a free world, we have to cherish these values as freedom, truth, love. So thank you very much. I would like to conclude upon this note, and I might have certain questions to ask, probably to some of our youngest members of the community, but probably everyone is invited. Do we have any prizes? Any gifts for the winners? Yes, we will. Okay, so please pay attention. I have to ask the questions because that's what learning and teaching is all about, right? So question number 1. The quote from the Bible that I used here comes from the letters to A, the Corinthians, B, the Thessalonians, or C, the Romans? A, B, or C? I might ask some of the school folks first. Okay, I'll repeat the question, if I may. Some of my friends from the primary schools or middle schools. If not, I'll ask some of the other members of the community. We might have some gifts. So the first question, the quote from the Bible that I've just read, comes from the letters to the A, Corinthians, B, the Thessalonians, or C, the Romans? Come on, step up, please, here, because we don't want to get this feedback.
The Romans.
Yes, it's the Romans. That's the correct answer. There's a prize for you. Let's listen to this. Whether you listened to my words carefully. The village of Okopy, where Father Jerzy was born, the one in the close proximity to the Soviet Union border, back then Soviet Union, is close to the city of Białystok, B. Ostrołęka, C. Łódź.
Białystok.
Excellent, that's the answer. Bravo. Is anybody from Białystok here, by the way? Oh, lots of people from Białystok. So, that was pretty easy for you. We have to be aware of some of the dates. Whenever you study or studied history, well, the dates is, the dark side of learning history, but that's what it's all about, yes? To know the dates, you're probably able to put the line of events in a correct order, and it's easier to memorize certain phases. So, to remember this one very unfortunate date, but that helps us a little bit to understand the other events that came afterwards. The martial law imposed by the communists upon the people of Poland was introduced in A. 1961, B. 1975, or C. 1981. Okay, we got someone to answer this question, all right? Which one of these do you think it is?
1981.
Yes, that's the answer. It's a sad event, but we have to learn from sad events too. Like the idea of today's meeting is like something bad happened, something evil happened, but whenever we can end up with something good being born from it, that's definitely fine. So we have to learn from history too. Now this is going to be a little bit. So I'm supposed to probably give you some more difficult questions. So now I'm not sure whether I in fact gave you this information. I may have spilled the milk at some point or let the cat out of the bag at some point. So next question is, Father Jerzy's baptism name was A. Jerzy, B. Peter, or C. Alphonse? Let me repeat that. Father Jerzy's baptism name was A. Jerzy, come around. Jerzy, A. B. Peter, or C. Alphonse?
A.
A as Alphonse?
Yes.
That's the one, exactly. Yes, perfectly. Yeah, we need to help you out a little bit. Now, to end up on an easier note, in fact, do we still have some prizes? One last question, I guess. So we don't want to go into the easiest ones, because I was supposed to start with the most difficult ones, so I will only have easier questions. Okay, now, can you name 3 Polish rivers in English? In English, or at least or in Latin? Because the name the Polish rivers are named, lots of them, a lot of them, well, quite a few of them, have names straight from Latin, which means they probably start with the or the. Okay, let's give it a try. What's your name?
I'm Oscar.
You're Oscar. All right, Oscar. Now, 3 questions. 3 Polish rivers. Try to use these English names or Latin, but if you can make it, well, Polish will do too.
Wisła.
We got one.
Wata.
Warta. Yeah, that's the other. Yeah, Warta. Exactly.
Odra.
Oh, Mom, please. I don't know what to think about it. Okay, Oscar, come around. Yeah, exactly. Wisła, Warta, and the last one, what was it?
Wisła.
Yeah, that's the first one. Then we had Warta, and then we had one more.
Marta?
There might be something similar to it. Okay, but I guess that the first answer will be the correct one. Do you think it's the same? Yes, it's Odra. Yes, so there you go. The Vistula, the Oder, as some of the phrases in German say. Well, I'm not pretty sure that Warta has any English-sounding version. It's just a Warta. Thank you for the rivers. Now, last questions. Last of these questions, because okay, this is going to be a difficult one. A couple of years ago, Poland was celebrating the 1065th, sometimes ago, a couple of years ago, was celebrating the 1065th anniversary of baptism of the country. This is a very good question, in fact, because sometimes whenever Poland celebrated the regaining of the independence back in 2018, some of my American friends used to ask me, "Oh, you're celebrating the 100th anniversary of your country, so you're such a quite young country, even younger than the United States of America." And then I say, "No, it's just the 100th anniversary of regaining the independence," which means, in fact, we as a nation, as a Christian nation, we began. Yes, and that's what I'm asking you right now, okay? Now, what is the date of the baptism of Poland? We're talking about AD, not BC, but we're talking about AD. But I just need 3 numbers from these kids here who haven't answered yet. So what's the date when Prince Mieszko was baptizing Poland and entering Poland to the real kingdom of the Christian world?
966.
Is that true? Yes, we all remember that. Thank you very much. 966 AD. So, yes, back in 2016, we celebrated the 1605th anniversary of Christianity of Poland. So, if we take a look at this amount of heritage that we have amassed, despite being partitioned, despite being, as they sometimes say, the battleground of Europe, whenever lots of wars, not only one, but 2 wars at least, yes, I mean the world wars, were happening in Poland. So being partitioned 3 times too, being able to regain and take care of our heritage is something worth mentioning, and that's what I would like you to take with you to your homes and cherish for the future. Thank you very much for this brief lesson, and thank you for being with us here at Father Popiełuszko Square. Thank you very much. Oh, you see? Moniuszko, Kościuszko, and Father Popiełuszko. I probably knew that this is going to be a lovely day, because when I woke up today, you know what name day today is? It's Zofia and Hope. So definitely, as Sophia is from Greek, wisdom, so that's the day of wisdom and hope. Thank you very much. God bless you.